Right, so SQL is the structured query language that we use to interrogate databases, all right? What you've got to remember is in your exam, you could get some theory questions around databases, okay? It's not just a case of you understanding select from where or delete. It's not that, all right? You actually need to understand the theory of how databases work. Now, what this guide starts off by giving you is a kind of breakdown of what is what, all right? So you can see any individual, if they are talking about selecting certain fields or they want you to show certain fields, they are talking about the attributes, all right? So if I had a table of data on you guys, I might have your first name as an attribute. I might have your age as an attribute. I might have your tutor group as an attribute or field name, okay? So what you're going to understand is that is one piece of information, one piece of data in a table, all right? When you combine that all together, that is what is known as the record. So think about when you learn about records, you know when I had to teach you programming about records and you had to create new records, think about how you would have, all right? Let me just give you an example here. So when you were coding, you might have had, let's say this record is a student, yeah? You might say student ID equals student dot forename equals. Do you see what I'm getting at? So they're your fields. Now, moving on to the next bit. So if you want to turn over your page, all right. That was an example of a flat file, all right. But at times you may get a relational database. Okay, so that's an example of what we would call a flat file database. All right. What you will sometimes get, so the flat file is where it's all stored in a single table. A relational database is where it's across multiple tables, okay? So what you might have is a relationship between those tables, all right? If you want to, you can draw out this relational database with me. We're going to just do a couple of, so relational. So here's a relational database. What I'm going to do here, all right, is draw out a really basic table with just 3 fields, okay? But what it will have on it okay, is we're just going to say student ID, student forename, student surname, okay? I'm going to put my IDs down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? The way that a relational database works is the primary key, so this in this field is the primary key. This is our unique identifier. That is the keyword you need to acknowledge. It is unique. No one person has the same. So if I go here, all right, I'm going to say this is Ray Chambers, Emma Chambers, Billy Bob. Right, but you get the idea. So that's one table, all right? If you look at this one here, this links the student to the teacher. So this table here, all right, will have this ID, all right? So it links the student and teacher together, all right? So what I might have here is, let's go, we've got student ID, yeah, and teacher ID. So it could be that student 1 has teacher ID 3. Student 2 has teacher ID 3. Student 3 has teacher 3. Student 4 has teacher 1. Student 5 has teacher 2. Alright? Then you have another table over here. So that's the teacher ID. Alright? And that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That now means I could look up that teacher from the teacher table. That's a relational database. And what you've got here, again, is your unique identifier. Alright? That's a primary key here. So your primary key. So that's your unique identifier. Am I making sense with that? I hope. What does it become in this table? Say that again? Foreign. It is your foreign key, okay? I don't like to use the word foreign, but it is what is in the spec at the moment, alright? But that is your foreign key. So a foreign key is used to link tables together, but it is a primary key in another table. So you need to have that definition down. It is a primary key located in another table. So if I just show you the definitions here, these are what you need. This is on the back page. Alright? A foreign key, a field in a table which contains a value of a primary key in another table. That is your glossary of key terms that you need to remind yourself, and the definitions that you need to know for the exam, okay? Are there any questions up to this point? So a primary key is a unique piece of information within a table to identify a record. Because if you think about it here, if I needed to find Ray Chambers in this table here, I just go to student ID 1 and it gives me all the information in that record. That's the idea of this, okay? So let's go on to the next bit, alright? Right. So this was an example of how that data was linked together. So what I could do here is I could have a link to create all those primary keys together, okay? So I could have all the foreign keys. So that class code would bring up all the information on that class. That subject code would bring up all the information on that class, alright? Now, I'm going to pause this at this point, and I'm going to start going over some SQL with you, alright?